Well, we're a small building company based on the south side of Brisbane called ESP Developments. We've been in business in Queensland since 1991. I was in Victoria for a few years prior to that. My father was a builder. My grandfather was a carpenter. My great-grandfather was a carpenter. I'm a carpenter by trade. And actually my son's a carpenter now by trade, so it runs in the family. The work that we mainly do is renovations, extensions, larger type projects. Don't like the smaller stuff. I mean, we still do it, but it's not our preference. And I do one-off custom-built homes, the difficult sites, that type of thing. I like to specialise in it because I really like to plan things in a construction sense. We've been in business, as I said, for quite a while, and yeah, we love it. It's in our blood. It's just what we do. The reason we looked at doing the building mentoring program was we'd come to the realisation that we were working ourselves to death, and nothing really to show for it. You look at it and you go, if I retire after 40 years of work and I've built my business, what is it worth? And if you don't have a business that's saleable, it's actually worth zero. So the realisation was that if we don't change what we're doing, we're going to end up with the same result. And we knew that there were things, that things are changing in the industry, things are changing in social media and marketing. And if you don't stay on top of it, you actually get left behind. And we had started looking at, mentoring from, business coaches. And after discussions with a number of them, they know business in a broad sense, but don't focus on builders and what happens in a builder's world. It's all very well to say, oh, well, you should just get up at 8 o'clock, open the office doors and the customers come in. Well, it's not that simple. So we knew that we had to make some changes, and it all started about when we attended a sales conference with the group and realised that, in a room full of like-minded people, there were a lot of people out there that obviously had the same issues as us. And we just went, well, look, the old definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result wasn't going to happen. So we jumped in and, it was great. The three main goals or outcomes that I've seen since starting the program has been my avatar, numbers, and sales process. Now, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, who's my client? I would have said, it's quite simple. It's anybody who wants to get something built. Somebody just needs to get some shit done on the man. And people used to say, oh, who's your client? You go, well, somebody wants some building work done. And we do building work. So there's a fit. But having to actually sit down and think about the ideal client that you wanted to work for, who they are, what they do, where they live, what their fears, what sort of builder are they looking for. It actually helped me to really focus more on that, and also then start thinking more about, nobody ever asked me, what sort of work do you actually like doing? And then you stop and you go, well, actually, there are a few jobs. I like this type of work, and I don't really like that type of work. I'll still do it, but it's not, the thing that bounces me out of bed in the morning. So having to be able to focus on that was fantastic. Numbers. Now, numbers in a business, I'm a practitioner. I come from the practitioner side, so I can run numbers on a build, what the costs are for that build. And I can tell you at the end of a project, the cost of a project to me to within $30. But when you look at the numbers within a business, really it was only at the end of the year, you'd look at your tax numbers and you go, I've had a bad year, oops, or I've had a good year, oh, that's great. So having to then start thinking about the numbers and looking at the numbers from a management side of things has been fantastic. The third thing was the sales process. sales has changed dramatically over the last 20 years from what I see. And I'm not a salesperson. I don't come from a sales background, but you have to think more about, who your ideal client is, and then how you promote yourself to them, and then how you present yourself to them. So in the old days of the biggest sales and marketing decision you had to make was how big was the Yellow Pages ad you could afford for the year. That was it. And was it colour or black and white? Now it's, you've got to think about your avatar, your ideal client, the work you want to do, and how you sell to that market, not to everybody. Because what I found was I was running around quoting work for people. I didn't want to do the work, and I didn't want to work for the people because I knew they didn't have the money to do what they wanted, and I was just wasting a lot of time. Now I get to focus more on what I want to do. How clear was the program outline? Initially for me, it was quite overwhelming. And that's because I was coming from the practitioner side of a business. I could swing a hammer, I could think any sort of thing on that side, but then to start looking at the management side, I knew that I had to get in there. I had to start digging around in there. And for years, I can remember back into my 20s, people were saying to me, oh, you've got to work more on your business than in it. And you go, well, what does that even mean? You might get to a realization, and we did, that we wanted to work more on our business, but you actually don't know what you need to do. And so the program was fantastic in as much as it opened the door to that world. Now, yes, initially it was overwhelming, but with the help of my mentor, we worked our way through it. And you start talking about things and start thinking about things like your avatar, and then thinking about your sales processes. And the beauty of it now is 3 years down the track, I can go back and look at the stuff that I did at the beginning and learn more about it, because now I understand more. I understand the figures in the business more, the actual true numbers. So from that point of view, it's been fantastic. Still a long way to go, but any mentoring program doesn't have a start and end date, I don't believe. Have I been held accountable? Yes, to a degree. I haven't held myself enough accountable. Even though we set targets and things, they do tend to slide a bit because the practical side of the business takes over. But one of the first things my mentor said to me, and it stuck with me, he said, you've got to really focus on your time management. And I did the time management within the system, and that did actually help to set a lot of those things up for me, and actually just to make me think, okay, what's the most important thing I have to do today, now, and before lunch, and so I can actually get those things done. My most favourite and valuable topic, if I look back over the 3 years, has actually been the sales process, and realising that we're actually a sales and marketing business that does a little bit of construction work, rather than a construction business that does very little sales and marketing. And for me, the biggest thing has been being able to disqualify people with a bit more grace and finesse, I guess, and to really focus on trying to find the people that I want to work with and do the jobs I want to do. I don't mind competing, but it's not a race to the bottom in my view, but it's more about understanding the dynamics of people and why they're buying and why aren't they buying and all those sorts of things. We are more profitable. We've had a good 6 months, but our previous 6 months was horrendous. So this year, of this current year, it's just gone, I don't think it's a great example. We got hit last year by a couple of factors that were a bit beyond our control, but we're far more focused on getting the phone to ring, getting the leads in the door, and getting the qualified leads, because we're now seeing that we're working more with people we actually want to work with, who are a bit more closely aligned to our avatar, and we're doing the jobs that we really enjoy doing, and we're not doing them for nothing. Would I recommend the Builders Mentoring Program? The answer is definitely yes. And the reason is I'd spent nearly 30 years of my building life just trying to, keep the wheel going and not really understanding what I needed to do other than working in the business. It's all very well to have people say, oh, you should be working on your business, you should be doing this, but as a practitioner, you don't understand that side of the business. And I've found that it's helped me greatly to understand more that side of business. I'm not an expert at it, but I understand, that there's a lot of information there that I've got to get my head around. We've come a long way, an awful long way. There's a lack in the industry of helping, mentoring within builders. Builders don't talk to each other. We see each other as competition, as the enemy. Everybody works to a different beat and everybody does slightly different jobs, and we all see each other as our competitors, but we're actually not. So if you need support, it's not generally there. But within the Builders Mentoring Program, there's an amazing amount of support. So, if you've got a question you don't quite understand, or you've got a circumstance you can't quite deal with, you've got your mentor you can talk to, or you can talk to other builders within the group. And that in itself is a revelation, because that doesn't happen in our industry. We don't get together and have coffees like a lot of other industries do and talk about the problems within their industries. Knowing that there are other builders out there who might have great resolves and resolutions to their problems just means that you've got more access to good information, so you can actually be more professional. So definitely. I just wanted to mention to you, I got an awful lot out of yesterday's mastermind. That's another one of those, we must get onto the sales process thing. And we did start it 12 months ago when we did the first mastermind on sales process. But I got a lot out of that one yesterday. That was really, really helpful. In fact, I was probably halfway through. I'm sitting there going, when Helen gets back and she gets settled and all that, we're going to sit down and watch that video and stop it and pause it and go, righto, so let's actually start nutting this out. I reckon that's going to add at least another 20% to our bottom line. We've been talking about different things and, tripwires and all that sort of stuff. But one of the things I got really interested on yesterday was that, and I was looking at that 197, come out to site visit type thing, that not sold it. But what I found interesting was, and it's a different mindset once again about, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't hurt to go out. If a customer's ticked most of those boxes on that checklist, to go, you know what, I'll come out, I'll have a look at the job, I'll give you some feedback, I'll give you an idea, no cost, all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to try and sell you a tripwire. It actually made me think, there are a number of people I've worked for that have done that, where they've ticked the right boxes or enough of them to make me go, yeah. And it hasn't always paid out, but I have had the odd one going, yeah, okay, what do we need to do to go forward? So sitting there going, because I'd made the decision, and that's why I wanted to do yesterday, was if somebody doesn't buy that $197 tripwire, I'm not going. So to actually have that thought, well, hang on a sec, Tom, you think about this wrong. That was really, really interesting. So like I said, I'm going to get Helen to sit down and we're going to go through it, a little whiteboard up. We're going to go and finish what we started 12 months ago. I'm all focused.